necessary. 24 hours or 6 at
How we doing, everybody? Hope everyone's doing well. We're about to start. Anybody got anything in the mini monologue? We got to come up with a better name than the mini monologue. We got Lee Sterling, Kevin Bolinger from Fox 5. We have the Chip Kelly presser, which is going on now. I didn't hear it, so I want to hear it. Want to hear what Chip's saying. Got a lot of NFL news. We got F1. F1 is a massive topic. I live in Vegas. F1's bigger, much bigger than the Raider game, even though the Raider game's big for us for obvious reasons. We got that going on. My Yankees might go after Skirball. Clay, doesn't look like your Tigers want to pay him. I will take him. I will take him.
Yeah. Tigers holding the. Tigers got nothing without him. See what they're.
We're going to have a lot of positive energy. The guys that love to compete and play with passion are going to have a chance in the place.
Your silver and black home to sound off for over 25 years.
Man, I'm loving it, man. They're making my job tremendously easy to be out here with these young, talented players, man. I think we have a really good team. So I'm super excited. I'm already loving this fan base. So I think it's going to be a lot of fun.
And now, here's JT the Brit.
Out of the gate, where is everybody? I'm that type of guy. Where is everyone? I want everybody at the bar. I want everybody in the sports bar. I want everybody in the room. I'm ready to roll. Shedor's coming to town. Shedor's coming to town. Shedor's coming to town. I'm saying that because I'm watching the American Revolution on PBS. Remember, the British are coming. Paul Revere. We got through the Paul Revere chapter. The British are coming. Lee Sterling's going to join us today. Kevin Bolinger from Fox 5, the sports director. And we also have Chip Kelly's press conference, which Clay, you said he's going a little bit longer. And we don't know what he's saying because we're talking to each other and we're welcoming our audience. So I want to play Chip. And Clay and I were talking about this before the show began. Whoever had the worst game, the offense or the defense, I want to hear from the coordinator on the side of the ball that did worse. And I think we'd both agree it was probably the offense because they didn't run the ball. Would you agree, Clay?
Yeah, that's right. And it's like that scene in Godfather 1. You have to answer for Santino, Carlo. You got to answer for an abysmal offensive production that has to right the ship, especially when Cleveland comes in, when you got two win teams facing each other.
Yeah, two win teams. I didn't have that on my Raiders bingo card. That's what everyone says now. I didn't have that at the start of the preseason. Didn't have that. Didn't have these two teams playing. I had the Raiders winning this game when the schedule came out on my Raider a refrigerator schedule magnet. We have that. I don't have it in the house. My wife doesn't allow that in the kitchen in the house. We have a garage. We have a refrigerator in the garage where we can put sports stuff up there. But the wife wants the kitchen to be nice and clean. She doesn't want to have Raider magnets on the kitchen where everybody comes into our kitchen. So I looked on the magnet and I had the circle there. I had the Cleveland win. I had the Jacksonville win. I had the Bears win. I had the Patriots win. I told you the week of, I did have that. I had a split with Denver. Looks like I could be wrong. I didn't have much to say on the Chargers. I actually thought the Chargers would be significantly better than the Raiders this year, not Denver. And then Kansas City, you hope for a split. You hope for a split, but you're not going to sweep them. And then you add in the Giant game. I think they'll beat the Giants. I had the Raiders winning 8 or 9 games this year. I said it. Confirmed. I said it. I have it. I said it. The Raiders would win 8 or 9 games. I didn't say 10. I didn't say playoffs. I avoid saying playoffs either way because that's not going to help me or it won't hurt me much. No one cares. I'm not a prognosticator, but I thought the Raiders by now would have 4 or 5 wins and they'd get to 8. And if they had 4 or 5 wins, they'd get to 8. If they've had 4 or 5, they'd get to 8. But they don't have 4 or 5. They have 2. So I don't know how many they're going to win. We are not the show of tanking. There's a lot of shows out there, most not on radio. that want to lose, no matter what. I will never be that guy. They will have to drag me off the air. Drag me off the air with the cops. Will have to come in here and grab me physically if I ever say, let's lose a game or let's wait till next year. I'm the wrong guy. And there's plenty of choices you can make. And we appreciate those who are here on a live feed on YouTube. On my YouTube channel, JT the Brick YT. I'm live on Twitter. And how about this? Big D can even see I'm live on Facebook today. Today I decided to throw it out. I supposedly have like 13,000 followers on Facebook. I think most of them are bots. Most of them are bots. But I do have a lot of people who follow us on Facebook, and we threw this show. We're going to do 1 or 2 shows a week on Facebook. JT the Brick, please. Just all you got to do is click like. All these things are really easy, man. I'm showing everybody this Raiders mobile app. I do a lot of appointments. We have 19 or 20 partners right now. We just added another one. Dr. Cravetti's back with me. Welcome, Dr. Cravetti. Man, if you need a knee, a shoulder, you need anything like that, there's only one king in town, Dr. Cravetti, Dr. Mike Cravetti. He's coming back, so he's a partner of ours again. But, we live in a time now where all you got to do is just open up the app on your phone to the Raiders mobile app, and you get the show. You get the whole show live, uninterrupted. It comes in clean. Then you can listen to us on the radio, where people still listen to the radio. I listen to the radio a lot. You can do that, or you can watch on Facebook and YouTube and X. So when I got into the business in 1996, and Clay and I started on Sports Fan Radio Network, I always blanked and moaned that people weren't listening because either the time I was on or what stations I weren't on. Now I don't give a crap. Do you understand that? I don't care when I'm on. If I'm on at midnight Eastern, which I am, I know that people can hear me in the morning by just going to the app and hear it live and think it's live. And people who can't listen to me today because they're at lunch, people have businesses, they go to lunch, they can listen to me later on tonight. Same show, same energy. That's why I know we're talking to a vast audience here of sports fans, Raider fans here, as I open up the show and give you a 20-minute monologue. At about 15 minutes into the monologue, there should be an alarm going off in your head to call, because I like to take calls and we have some good interviews. I think we have really good interviews. And give us your opinion on what's going to happen. And, when you got people who are saying fire people, I just hit a button. Like right here, I just hit a button right here, and I put you in a baby timeout. And that's all I do. We don't want to fire anybody. We don't fire people on my show. Do we get that rule? When they get fired, we talk about it. I mean, I was talking about this the other day with someone. I think my audience is a pretty smart audience. You're the audience. I'm the host. I think some of you are a lot smarter than me. That's why I open up the phones. But you got to be pretty stupid to reach out to me on any platform and ask me what I think about firing someone, knowing that I get a paycheck from the team and I work with these people. I have to remind people every once in a while because we have a new audience that comes in. We have a new audience that pops in every once in a while, and they'll say, JT, what do you think about firing the coach or his son? And I say, have you lost your freaking mind? I interview the coach every week. Just me and him, no one else. What do you think I'm going to do? Say fire the coach and then go interview him? Plus, I don't want to fire the coach. I like Pete Carroll. So with everything that's happening here, what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to herd cats. I'm trying to get Raider fans focused for the Cleveland game. Oh, boy. Good luck with that. 2-2-win teams. How am I going to pull that off? How am I going to get you excited about 2-8? Well, really, one word. Shador. Shador Sanders will be the starting quarterback for the Cleveland Browns. He is the son of Deion Sanders, one of the greatest players to ever play the game. Shador Sanders, I liked a lot going into the draft. I did not believe the Raiders needed to draft him because people clip my show, and I got to make sure I say this correctly. I would have liked Shedeur to go to the Raiders. Let me stop that, but I didn't think they needed to draft him. So let me explain why, and that's the focus of the monologue brought to you by PTs. They fuel the monologue, 5 to 7, midnight to 2, the best happy hour in town. Go to PTs. They are a proud partner of our show. They are a foundation partner for me, Golden Entertainment. They own the Strat. They own Arizona Charlie's, the Laughlin Entertainment Center. They have one of the biggest routes for slots in town. They're unbelievable. They're good to me. So there's no confusion about where I stand with Shedeur. Okay, I wish we had Shedeur now, not as a starter. No, don't take me wrong. I just wish we parked him at some point because we park players who don't play. We took third-round picks, fourth-round picks, fifth-round picks. They don't play. So I'd rather have Shedeur parked than not playing, but we didn't have to do that. Why didn't we have to do that? Because the Raiders signed Gino Smith, who was one of the best 2 or 3 quarterbacks available. Now, do I need to remind you of that? I should not. Who was available to get here as quarterback? Josh Allen? Lamar Jackson? Who was available? I'll tell you who was available. I was doing the show. It was Sam Darnold. It was Gino Smith. It was Matthew Stafford, but Matthew Stafford teased us. He was teasing us by saying, oh, yeah, we could go get Matthew. No, we couldn't. Matthew Stafford wasn't leaving L.A. He wasn't leaving Sean McVay and the Rams. And look at it now. Good move. He's the MVP frontrunner. So there was only a handful of quarterbacks available. You didn't want Carson Wentz, did you? I didn't either. Who'd you want? It was either Sam Darnold or Gino. Those were the guys who were available. We got one of the two. Either one of them would have been fine. They were roughly the same player. Sam Darnold was kind of a journeyman guy, played a little well. It started playing much better in Minnesota. And Gino played very well in Seattle. We got Gino, and it made a lot of sense because we had Pete Carroll. So let me go back in the hot tub time machine and remind you the tone of the Raider Nation when that deal went down. Most people were good with it. Now, a lot of fans didn't love Gino. You did not love Gino, I know that. But you're okay with Gino because Gino was a pretty good player, and hopefully still is. But we could have got Shedeur, could have got Dylan Gabriel, could have went out and got a lot of these quarterbacks, but the Raiders didn't need to because here's the hook to the story. Here's the hook. They had Aiden O'Connell on a rookie contract still out of Purdue in the 4th round. We already had a 4th-round quarterback. We had a 4th-round quarterback who beat Kansas City in Kansas City. He's won games. We've seen Aiden play. I wouldn't say we've seen Aiden play at a high level, but we've seen Aiden play. So we had Gino and we had Aiden. We were fine. Hindsight, we were fine, but not now. Now Aiden got hurt and Gino hasn't played well. So if you want to go back in time, of course you'd want Sam Darnold more than Gino. Just look at the way Sam Darnold's playing this year. But go around the rest of the league, there weren't really quarterbacks available. I mean, you didn't want Spencer Rattler. You didn't want to make a trade for who? There's no one out there. Now, Aaron Rodgers a few years ago, remember when I said I'd go pick him up at the airport? I did say that. I'd go pick him up at the airport. He was available. He went to Pittsburgh. But I'm getting back to Shador. Shador Sanders now is a player. He made a lot of plays. You ever hear of a guy named Travis Hunter? He won the Heisman Trophy. He got the ball from who? Shador. Shador made a lot of plays. He went to Jackson State. Don't tell me about growing up with a silver spoon. Yeah, he grew up with some money. What's wrong with that? His dad was one of the greatest athletes of all time. Muhammad Ali's kids grew up with money. Michael Jordan's son grew up with money. One of his sons is a mess. And you look at that, and Shedeur worked his ass off to get to D1 football and then excel and then come to the NFL. So I think he got screwed on the draft. And again, I've proven that. I've podcasted it. I've documented it. What I think happened was, let me take the Raiders out of this again. The Raiders weren't going into the draft drafting Shedeur. That was not on the plan. They didn't need it. They needed other players. But there were several other teams that should have drafted Shedeur in the late 1st round or at least the 2nd and didn't have the balls to do it. Okay, so follow me here. This is really important. So the draft, if you remember, goes 3 days. The first day is the 1st round. It was a genius move by Roger Goodell to do that. Roger Goodell will go into the Pro Football Hall of Fame for a lot of reasons, but that was a smart reason. Make the draft Thursday night standalone. Well, if you remember that opening night, they were talking about Shedeur a lot. Would Shedeur go in the 20 to 30? He didn't go. The next day is another genius move of the draft. They do the 2nd and 3rd round. They used to give you the whole draft, every draft, the whole thing. No, they cut it down into a TV show on Friday night. The whole television show was about Shedeur. And once Shedeur started dropping out of the 2nd round to the 3rd round, they turned it into a soap opera. They turned it into a soap opera where the young men who were getting drafted didn't even have the right to enjoy it with their families because the television broadcasters were talking about one name only, Shedeur. And he didn't get drafted day 2. Oh, what? Then we get to day 3, and as I documented again, here's what happened. Day three, everybody went back and were scared like little girls at a scary movie. They're all like, I ain't doing it. No, you're going to do it. Nope, I'm not doing it. What do you mean? You need a quarterback. Nope, something must be wrong with them. Something must be wrong with them, man. Are you watching this? This TV show isn't going right. It's like Dancing with the Stars. They got voted off. I don't want to vote that person. It's like the housewives of Orange County. Throw something at each other. You throw a fork. Everybody got scared of Shedeur, and he dropped like a rock. He dropped like a rock. And then he ended up going in the 5th round to Cleveland. Why did Cleveland take him if they took Dylan Gabriel? Cleveland didn't need him after they took Dylan Gabriel. Now, what you can say and be fair is why didn't the Raiders take him in the 5th round? That's fair. I told you why I believe they didn't take him. Tom Brady, John Spytek, I believe they didn't take him. I don't know this to be true. I have opinions. Is that the ship has sailed. Shedeur was gone. No one wanted him. We're not going to do it. We got to the holes, and then the Raiders didn't do it. But I don't believe the Raiders should have took him in the first 4 rounds. Now, 5 years from now, if Shedeur is a 2-time Pro Bowler and he's as good as I think he could be, then I think you can come back and visit this podcast on YouTube and go back and say, well, JT said the Raiders shouldn't have took him because they had Gino and they had Aiden, but he was wrong. But we got a couple of years to figure that one out. Or maybe we don't. Maybe we have Sunday, where I'll be hosting the post-game show on my actual birthday, which is very bizarre. On my actual birthday, I'll be hosting the post-game show as friends are waiting for me at another place I'm supposed to be at with my friends. But I have a job. My job comes first most of the time. And if I am sitting on this post-game show with Lincoln Kennedy doing 90 minutes on Shedeur, it's going to be really tough for me to rally the rest of the night when I'm known for rallying. So here we go. We made our bed. We got to sleep in it. We're going up against Shedeur. Stephen A. Smith did his show today from a historically black college on First Take, and all they talked about the whole show was Shedeur. What? They did the whole show on Shedeur. I flipped over to NFL Network. Shedeur. I turned on my X, my Twitter. Shedeur. Here we go. We got to beat the kid. We got to beat him. I got a full analysis on how to beat him. I have all my notes here in front of me on what the kid hasn't done much. But I can tell you Kevin Stefanski is a good offensive coach, just like Pete Carroll's been a historically great defensive coach. I can promise you they're going to get the ball out quick. They're going to get the ball out really fast for Shedeur, and Shedeur is going to make a couple of easy throws early in the game. We got guys on defense that give wide receivers 10 yards cushion. We got guys on this defense that give receivers 10 yards cushion and don't dare to go up against the receiver and play bump and run. We give them 10 yards and say, you have a 10-yard slant route, you got a 10-yard button hook, whatever you want. You don't think Shedeur's going to take that? You don't think they're going to check down? We're now the king of check down. We even had our offensive coordinator, who I support all these coaches, go into the last game. Pete Carroll told me in my exclusive interview the game plan against the Cowboys were to come out and check down, not attack, check down to Ashton Genty and other guys. Wow. Ken Stabler's game plan was never to check down. Rich Gannon's game plan, he was the best check down quarterback I have ever seen, is Rich Gannon. And Rich Gannon attacked. Derek Carr, I thought, checked down a little too much on the back end of his career. He had a big arm. And we basically told everybody last game that we didn't want to run Ashton Genty. Kind of a surprise. But we wanted to open up with the pass. I'm good with that. JT likes to throw. JT the Brick, third person, likes to throw. But we came out with a check down mentality. 2-7, check down mentality. So I think they're going to come out in Shedeur. They're going to check down with him on the first drive or two. Maybe take a deep shot. We don't take deep shots. They'll maybe do a play action bomb. We'll see if anybody catches it or we knock it down. And then the game's going to open up and the game's going to have a flow to it. And yeah, I believe it is Max Crosby versus Myles Garrett. And Myles Garrett is having a slightly better year, or better than Max, because Myles Garrett is just on a roll, man. He is at a Vegas crap table, and he is rolling the dice, and they are changing out the dealers. They are bringing in new dealers every 10 minutes because this guy's too hot. They're trying to bring in a cooler to slow him down, and this guy is unbelievable. He's nuts. He's so good. How are we going to block him? Oh, no. We're going to leave guys in to block. That means we don't have guys running routes. We're leaving them in, like the Charger game. And then we're going to be 2 against 6. The Chargers early on, the first game of the year on Monday Night Football, basically said, we're going to play this high zone. We're going to jump your routes, and you're only going to send 3 people in your route. We're going to have 5, 6 guys out here. We're going to win. Well, that's the same thing Cleveland thinks we're going to do in this game. They believe that we're going to leave in Michael Mayer to block. We're going to leave him in to block. We're going to max protect, and we're going to send 3 guys out on a route instead of 5, and they're going to have 6 guys waiting for Gino. Oh, boy. So this is going to be interesting to see what happens here. I believe the Raiders are clearly the better team. As we talked about, the Raiders have a bit of a personnel problem going right now. They definitely have a personnel problem, a lot of them. But Cleveland is so bad on offense. They're so terrible on offense. The Raiders with Patrick Graham and Max Crosby and Devin White throughout the year and Jeremy Chin should be able to get after this quarterback and this offense. And that's what the Raiders got to hope happens in this game. They got to hope that they control Shedeur, and Shedeur doesn't come out playing with the lead. And if Shedeur wins this game, we got big problems. Big. We already have big problems, but that, and I think a lot of reasonable fans think that will be rectified. We hope. I mean, we can't just say we're going to suck and not be good next year. We got to hope that this is going to get rectified. And the way that would be keeping some of the players, signing better ones, drafting better ones. Very simple. But this is a very important game. And as Levi Edwards told you on this broadcast, and Pete Carroll said it to me also, Pete Carroll's going to coach this game like it's the AFC Championship. That's the only way he knows how to coach. Sorry, Raider Nation. Sorry, Section 320. If you want to bring a sign and you don't want to win the game, Pete Carroll wants to win the game. And I think this is a really important game for Pete and his staff and the morale of the team, because I don't think it'll be really good to walk around the building next week saying the Cleveland Browns beat you at Allegiant Stadium. Maybe if they beat you in Cleveland in a snowstorm on some wild play, all right, bad game, should have won, but you can't let that happen here. Can't let that happen here. Got to go win this game. So that's the monologue. So what we do on Thursday is we put in the game plan. We haven't done a good job with it. Don't blame the coaches. Blame me. Does that sound familiar? Blame me, because you do and you can, because I didn't do a good enough job. I don't know what the game plan is anymore. I have no idea. Ashton Genty had 6 yards on 7 carries? Or 7 carries on 6 yards. What was it, Clay? Do you remember the number there?
Yeah, you got it. Yeah.
Okay. So
it's very light.
So very light. So I would assume they're going to give him the ball a little bit more, Clay Baker. Would you agree? You would assume they're going to get Ashton Genty and they're going to take him and give him the football, make him feel better?
I would think like purposefully giving him the ball, not just like, oh, here it is every now and then, not just on normal rundowns. Be purposeful of how you're going to use it, especially when you got a very good defensive line like Cleveland. You got to run past them instead of holding on to dear life and continue to pass protect.
And you believe also that Brock Bowers deserves 12 to 13 targets?
Maybe 18.
Okay, maybe 18. I believe the 12 to 13. So I think the game plan is to do that. And then Gino's got to be concerned. This is a good defense. Andrew Siciliano joined us yesterday and told us that they have the defensive rookie of the year. They got 4 players on that defense who are as good as any 4 players, if not better than everyone on the Raider team other than Max Crosby on defense. So they're pretty good on defense. So if you want to say, hey, Gino, let it rip, I'm cool with that. But if he lets it rip, there could be some issues here. I come to work every day excited to win. That's all I care about is winning. I don't care how they win. I don't care. I'm totally invested and embedded with the team. Like every player, every coach, and most of the fans want to win the game. And this team is struggling now. I don't use terms like rock bottom and all that. I don't use that. I don't use those terms. But the team's going through a really rough patch. It's one of the roughest patches I've ever seen in my career with the team. And I've seen some rough ones recently. In my first 4 years, we went to the Super Bowl, 2 AFC championship games, and the playoffs every year. I've seen some good times. And then I know the history of the Raiders and the really good times when they won Super Bowls and played in Super Bowls and won them. So this is a tough game, but it doesn't look that way for the rest of the country. No one would even look at this game if Shador Sanders wasn't playing Max Crosby versus Myles Garrett. Shedeur is doing us a favor. He's making it a big game. He is. It's very rare that a rookie who hadn't played all year, who plays in week 12 for the first time in his career, is moving the needle at the level of Shador Sanders. 24-minute monologue. Once again, I'll wait for you. 702-365-9200. Kevin Bolinger will join us coming up here. We'll talk to the award-winning broadcaster for Fox 5. Also embedded in the team, proud partner, about the Shedeur noise. There is some Shedeur noise. How do the Raiders quiet that? And what it will take to win the game. Today's about the game plan. Tomorrow's about the score. If you got a game plan, put it in the chat on YouTube or give us a call on the flagship of the silver and black. All right, how's everybody behaving in our live stream right now? I got some other friends watching. Yeah, the live stream. Hydrate, as Big D would tell me. I got a fresh cup of coffee. I had a very nice appointment this morning at 8 a.m. and then I went to the Raiders at 9:30. We did the Raiders rundown. Then I do this from noon to 2, and then I have the Rod Pod, the Rod Woodson podcast at 3. And then tonight I'm going to the Formula One culinary kickoff, which is a nice big event that I emceed last year with Charles Woodson and a bunch of people. This year I'm just going as a guest. So this guy, Dane, says game plan. You're paying Gino $35 million. Why no deep shots? There's no deep shots because he has no time. It's a very good question. There's no deep shots because he has no time. Lencho says, is Aiden O'Connell going to start? No. And Gino Smith will start. Gino Smith should start. He's the starting quarterback. Now, if Gino doesn't play well, do you believe that Gino should get benched? I want to talk. I want Gino to play well. I want Gino to have a really good game. And that's the difference between me and a bunch of other people, is that I want the team to do well. Some Raider fans don't want the team to do well, and they don't want Gino to do well. I understand why you're disappointed with Gino, but he's wearing the Raider colors. You should want him to win the game. And some people are just off the deep end on that topic. You're just gone. Luckily, not many of our people, but there are so many Raider fans off the deep end now. They're so negative and so pessimistic that they know Brock Bowers plays for the team. As Cisco jumps in, start Gino, then throw AOC. And if Gino isn't producing, perfect. I agree with you. If you go into a Raider game thinking they're going to lose or wanting them to lose, then you want Brock Bowers to lose. And you're an effing fraud. You're an effing fraud in that you should have the colors ripped off your back. If you go to a game and want Brock Bowers to lose a game or Max Crosby, I know you don't like maybe a coach or two, or this coach. I get that. I get all that. But you go to the game to root on your colors of your team. That's why I'm in the black hole. There's no one in the black hole at the tailgate going, hey, let's pack up and go in and lose. They're not excited about the record, but they want to win. We will always want to win on this show.
Got it.
Well, Tommy, what's the difference? Well, there's a big difference, the Raiders. What's the difference this year with the Raiders losing? The difference is they got Pete Carroll and they got different players. They have Ashton Genty as a rookie. We didn't think they'd lose that many games. Did you? All right, Clay, you have his number. I'm on the Facebook chat now, if you're on Facebook. You don't know how only 8 people can be watching on Facebook when I have 13,000 people. I think these numbers are just full of shit.
What? You don't know how to curse at me.
All right. Glasses half full today.
New career making great money.
Okay.
Lee Sterling is 500 on the year. That's not bad. It's not great. It's hard to pick games, man.
You.
Is this a good time for a couple minutes?
Crazy drink prices.
All right.
Yes, I'm wearing my vest today. I'm in vest season. I like wearing a vest. I'll be wearing a vest. I'll be wearing a vest for the foreseeable future.
Yeah.
The weather got good today, Clay.
No.
That was gonna be handy.
always on.
What's the weather look like for Friday and Saturday? It's Friday, 90% chance of rain.
It's on.
Hopefully it's just in the morning.
And the Raiders.
Yeah, it's it's between 6 a.m. and 8 a.m.
It's on.
Wow.
So. Shit.
All right.
Is it all
We'll be ready to go for that. Okay.
power?
We'll come back with Shedeur prepping for the Raiders
Yeah.
and Gino, a quick cut on Shedeur.
Right here on Action Radio 920.
It's snowing in Tahoe. Love it.
Back to the JT the Brick Show, brought to you by the DeCasta Verde Law Group. If you get injured in an accident, call 702-222-9999.
Yeah, mentally, emotionally, I'm in a great place overall. In life, it's always gonna be adversity. Things aren't always gonna go, as planned. But I would say, I'm prepared for everything. The same how I always am. Knowing exactly where everybody's gonna be, prepare, understand that they have a great defense. They're coached by a great coach, and they have great players on that side of the ball. So just doing what I can, to prepare mentally, physically, emotionally, to make sure I'm my best self.
Yeah, man, I'm happy for my guy, man. S2's a guy who I've been, talking to for a long time, and just happy to see him, getting a shot. But unfortunately, it's against us. But happy to see him get a shot.
Or have you had some type of relationship with Shedeur?
For a long time, probably since he was in high school.
That was Gino before that, Shedeur. That's the storyline. Like it or not, it's Gino versus Shedeur. It's Max Crosby versus Myles Garrett. It is. That's the way the national media plays it up. They know what they're doing. I know what they're doing. Welcome back. We're brought to you by Modelo. I have a bucket of Modelo's every Friday. Modelo, proud partner of the show. We love Modelo. All of our remotes, our shows are based on the fighting spirit of Modelo as we bring in Kevin Bolinger from Fox 5, their sports director. And Kev, you're embedded with the team, proud partner. I think everybody gets a burst with Shedeur and the storyline in this game. I think he's a good player. I think his back's up against the wall. And no one would have guessed his first ever game as a starter would be in Las Vegas.
Yeah, the most hyped game between 2-2-8 teams in NFL history, I think, right?
Yes.
Just got out of the locker room actually, and talking to Max Crosby about going up against Shador Sanders, and he called any person making their first start in the NFL at the quarterback position unpredictable because you aren't exactly sure how things that maybe they did in college are going to translate to the NFL. But he also said, the key, like it is every week, is to try and make him uncomfortable back there. And that's going to be one of the things that the Raiders want to do is show him some looks maybe that he hasn't seen before and get him uncomfortable. And then Crosby, who says he's known Shedeur for a long time and known the family for a long time, said he's looking forward to the matchup.
Kevin Bollinger's our guest. Yeah, I'm looking forward to it too. I like history. I like big events. The bigger, the better. And yeah, for 2-2-8 teams, I think it's fantastic that we have this to talk about because it adds to the hype. It's good for the season ticket holders. They're all going to say, hey, man, I was at the first ever Shedeur game. I don't think the kid's going to flame out long term as much as I want the Raiders to beat him in this game. But Man, the hype of his dad should be at the game. Don't know for sure, but he should be because he doesn't have a game on Sunday. And then a Raider home game at Allegiant Stadium is always electric. It's always exciting. It's always bright lights. But Myles Garrett, Kevin, probably should get the major billing here. He's having one of the greatest seasons ever, like Michael Strahan's record, Reggie White, all the greats who have ever played. And I think he's looking at the Raiders' offensive line, and he is licking his chops to get to Vegas and get after these guys.
No question. 15 sacks in 10 games so far, I think, for Myles Garrett, and he's looking at this as an opportunity to maybe add to that total with that offensive line. So, to me, he is the one that you need to keep your eyes on the field at all time as a fan, because he's worth the price of admission. Just watching the way he works and he maneuvers and does things the way that he does. He deserves getting the top billing, and he's going to be it's going to be interesting to see how the Raiders attack him with that offensive line. What are going to be their strategies to try and neutralize him as best as they can?
Well, I think the answer to that is, to me, it's Michael Mayer. And I think that Michael Mayer was brought to this organization, and unfortunately, he is not being used correctly. He's being brought in as a blocker. He was an elite pass catcher at Notre Dame, and he just found these regimes that don't want to put him out wide. They don't want to go to him. They don't go back to him game after game. And I would think that this game, knowing the team the way I do, is that you got to leave Michael Mayer in to block. He's a monster. He's big. And if you have Forsythe on one side or DJ Glaze and Michael Mayer's there and it's 2-on-1 against Myles Garrett, that's the only way I think you can slow him down, and that might not be perfect.
No question. And, and for Gino's going to have a quick release. He talks about that every week. But, if Michael Mayer is able to kind of chip off that thing to be a valve for Gino Smith, then certainly that would be something that the Raiders could try to utilize, because things are going to have to move a lot quickly, because it's not just Myles Garrett. I mean, they got a pretty loaded up defensive line there, so there's a lot of things for them to worry about come Sunday.
Kevin Bolinger from Fox 5 joins us. Well, what have you noticed about Pete Carroll's temperament after the game and during the week? And I get a chance to sit down with him on Tuesdays. And he's really upset about the fact, and he's disappointed is probably the better word, disappointed that the team isn't doing better. And now he has to answer questions about putting the best team out there or putting in some younger players who clearly aren't as good as the veterans to get them more playing time. What have you noticed at the press conferences?
It's a situation that he has not been in a long time, whether it's in the NFL. He didn't have this situation in Seattle that much. Or at USD. I mean, you'd have to go back to when he was in the AFC East with the Jets and the Patriots, to maybe when he had to take a little more questions like this. So, Pete Carroll's a positive guy. He's a half-class full type of guy. So it pains him to come out there after games and essentially apologize, which is what he did after the Monday night game, because it's not in his nature to even think in terms of anything but win the week, win on Sunday. And it's really hard to get out of that mindset when that's been your whole mantra your entire career.
I knew exactly what Gino was going through when he said, blame me. Exactly. And I don't think it was a smart move for him to do that, but I'm in sports like you. We want that type of content. We want people to be real. We want them to be authentic. And when Gino said, blame me if your car breaks down, blame me if your kid doesn't do well in school, I knew exactly what he was going through at that moment. And I felt for him because he's been the consummate leader. And by doing that, he didn't embarrass himself. He was just showing the emotions that he knows that he's getting hammered by the fan base and the media, and he wants to do better. You were around him this week. How is he bouncing back from that game? Because I don't know how much time he has left, Kevin, honestly, to play better, because we've been waiting a while for him to up his game.
Well, we certainly know that a large portion of Raider Nation is blaming him. We hear the boos on Sunday like everybody else. I don't know how much it translates to television for those that are watching it on TV. But he has stayed consistent in his manner of leadership, both internally and with the media and externally, on how he just wants to handle things. So he is not. I think he's kind of just mindset wise, in terms of taking the blame, he's kind of wants to take this thing on his shoulders, knowing that in the NFL, the quarterback takes the glory, and they also have to take the blame when things go wrong. And so he stayed consistent with that. He really hasn't wavered, and that part I think I can respect a little bit, because he knows that they've got problems to fix. He said the other day that if he knew what the problems were, he could put his finger on them, then they would go out and fix them. They just haven't been able to figure out what they have problems that they can fix at this point of the season.
Kevin, the last few minutes, I just want to talk to you about F1. I like big events. You cover all the big events. You've been in this town and award-winning broadcaster. When you see this here, we understand living here that there are some complications. The weather could be one, what it does to local businesses and all of that. But we have F1. When you're Las Vegas, you need F1 because we have the biggest events in the world. So if we don't get it, I say the same thing about the Olympics or the World Cup. If we don't have events there, I'm kind of disappointed because we're Las Vegas. So I think fans have been upset about it for a couple of years, and F1's doing enough behind the scenes to make it easier and more affordable. Are you sensing that coming into this edition this year of F1?
You have not heard as much negativity locally as we have in previous years, and I think it is because it's starting to become a smoother process to get things set up and torn down. The first year that was a big hassle for a lot of people for a long period of time. But I think that the ticket prices going down, the change in the start time on Saturday night to 8 o'clock from a 10 o'clock start, is also something that maybe becomes a little more family friendly for the race. And don't ever underestimate the fact that the worldwide stage, see Las Vegas lit up with all of those F1 cars. You cannot buy that kind of publicity that it gives for our city.
Yeah, I think it's not perfect, but I think it's so important that we have an event like that. So I'm assuming you have a
basically the loser of this game is out in terms of getting into the championship game contention, and the winner stays alive to move forward. So it really starts with UNLV on Friday, and of course at the same time the F1 stuff's going to be going on with all of the qualifying and practices, and it just keeps on rolling all the way through the Raiders game on Sunday. So another stellar, can't ask for a better sports weekend in Las Vegas.
You got it. I'll see you at all the events. Thanks a lot for doing this, Kevin. Appreciate you.
You got it. Thanks, Jake.
All right, Kevin Bolinger, right out of the Raiders locker room. Right out of the Raiders locker room. I'm having a little Wi-Fi issue, Clay. I'm freezing a bit. Clay, do you have to go on the roof to plug back in the Wi-Fi? How does that work?
Yeah, do you got
the
some
roof?
change in your pocket? I think the nickel, I know the machine needs another time.
I don't know if you have to climb on the roof. Let me know about that. I'm surprised that no one's offered you and I 2 tickets on the Bellagio fountain. That was like $4,000 or $10,000. Have you gotten a call yet on the listener line to invite Clay Baker and JT the Brick to?
Yeah, you didn't get yours?
I didn't get mine yet. No, it didn't happen.
This is awkward. I'm sorry.
It is a little bit awkward. But if you're going to F1, you're coming to town, tell us. Remember, we're a sports talk show. And I am going to UNLV. Someone at UNLV told me the other day, JT, you're a good luck charm. I said, excuse me? They said you went to 2 games this year at home, and they were the 2 best and most exciting games, came down to the wire. So I will be at UNLV Hawaii. I am going to F1. I'm anchoring the pregame show from the Torch. Good weekend, man. It's going to be a lot of fun this weekend. If you're coming to Vegas, let us know about it. This is brought to you by Remy Martin. Sip like royalty. Man, Remy Martin's got a lot going on. They got Remy Martin cocktails, signature cocktails up and down the F1 track. Wherever you're going, ask for a Remy Martin cocktail, the sidecar, the old-fashioned. And you can move it around a little bit, too. You order an espresso martini, ask for Remy Martin in your espresso martini. I think you'll love it there. My wife loves the sidecar. She orders it, but ask for Remy Martin. We used to say team up for excellence. We still do, but it's more like sip like royalty. Remy Martin, a big global international company right here during F1. When we come back, Lee Sterling. He's going to give you 3 games for free. And believe me, you need games for free because gamblers are getting their heads ripped off this year. Have you seen some of the great sharps? They're having their worst year ever. Lee's going to give us, coming up 2-1, Oklahoma, Bears versus Steelers, and the Chiefs and the Colts, all for free. Lee Sterling's on deck.
Wake up with the morning tailgate.
Yeah, Gino, I don't need to talk about this extensively, but that's why you're here for the in-between commercials and all that. But people are not being nice to Gino Smith. He's our quarterback. I mean, people are crapping on him, and you shouldn't. I mean, you should encourage him, and then we sit here and we talk about if he's playing bad, we hammer away at why he's playing bad. We just don't make it personal. Like the amount of cowardly people saying stuff to Gino Smith. I don't know. I know he's blocking some people online, and he's, it's probably getting to him a little bit, but I can just tell you from knowing him a little bit, he's a hell of a leader, and he didn't come here to disappoint you, man. He wants to be great. Buffalo Bills, Chickies and Pete's tonight. Here we go. Clay Baker special.
Go ahead. Real quick.
Hey, Chuck, I love the fact that I can find out how much I qualify for at Dollar Loan Center before I need a loan.
Let's say you don't quite need a loan today, but you do every so often, and you really just want to find out how much you qualify for and how it works.
Exactly.
We do this every day at Dollar Loan Center, and the customers really dig it. We offer this free of charge. We process your application, let you know how much you qualify for, and then you're ready to go if you do need a loan down the line.
Come back with the Bills
All of
highlight
this takes less than an hour.
against the Bucks.
TLC lends up to 5%. Your cash in person at one of our 70 locations, on our website, domedegrowth.com, or even over the phone with one of our helpful, real staff members. You're gonna love Dollar Loan Center.
This is JT the Brick from Raider Nation Radio for Emrod, the preferred shuttle provider of Allegiant Stadium. Ride like a pro, round trip to your favorite events at Allegiant Stadium. No more hassle parking. Right. Lines. Emride it, and you'll get in and out. Bring back Tom Cable as the O-line coach. Tom was a good guy, man. I don't think he got me in the beginning. He was so hardcore and intense. But Tom Cable did Tom Cable, someone find out in the chat, did Tom Cable get fired after going 8-8? Or was that Hugh? Hugh got fired going 8-8.
He was defeated in the division.
Yeah, he got let go because of the Carson Palmer trade, kind of. Cisco remembers those days. He's a good Hugh guy.
Online at generalswell.com.
Yeah, I've been saying this. I've been watching Ken Burns' The American Revolution. What a fabulous, beautiful piece of a television film documentary, man. Last night I watched the Battle of Long Island, where I'm from. George Washington, before he was president, General Washington, and the Continental Army getting its ass kicked, retreating in the middle of the night in a storm. And if they didn't retreat and waited the next day, the Redcoats and the Brits would have ended the war. And because of the mistake of the British Army not ending it that day, George Washington retreated and then beat the Redcoats at Trenton. Freaking fabulous, man. That history, holy crap. I knew it because I grew up there. But the history, Clay, of George Washington,
Trenton changed the war.
His troops, some of his troops had no shoes.
Yeah,
No shoes. They were wrapped in towels. They were done, and they were able to get out of their service at the end of the year. He begged them to stay for another month. They changed the war. And we think of people today, what they're going through. It was incredible.
Crippling diarrhea, dysentery.
The dysentery and smallpox. Smallpox.
Powder.
Yeah.
More than 9 shots a person.
Brought to you by Comisario Tequila, the official tequila of the JT the Brick Show.
Three receivers to the left. Cook to the right of Allen in the shotgun here on 2nd and 4. Allen back to pass. Now going to tuck it and run as he's looking for the end zone. And the surge pushes him in for his 6th touchdown of the season or the game.
Yes, Lee Sterling, Paramount Sports. You should be going to ParamountSports.com and deal with a handicap professional because you need professionals to help you guide yourself along the way. Lee, before we get to the games down there in Miami, one of your specialties with the Hurricanes, they're feeling a little bit, how they feeling now? They're figuring, wait, Notre Dame, they're ranked higher than us. Everybody's worried about Miami. Miami was ranked number 2 preseason. They put themselves in this jam, didn't they?
They did, but here's the thing. Everyone talks about all these scenarios. If you win, Miami wins, trust me, they're going to be in. They're not going to deny them. So, you're not going to be able to win by 1 or 2 points against Virginia Tech. They win by double digits this weekend. They win in Pitt, where they've always had a house of horrors. They'll find themselves in. The committee, trust me, they want them in over BYU every single day of the weekend, Sunday.
All right, let's get to the games here, and I love what you're doing here. First off, my son, you always text me, Oklahoma. What a win at Alabama there. And the way they're playing defense is fantastic, but wow, does it feel like a trap game? You get those kids all excited to go to Tuscaloosa. They're celebrating big men on campus all week, and then you drop in a Missouri team that's pretty good or was pretty good here. Oklahoma -7.5 Missouri. How do you see it?
Well, if Texas A&M had not come back and won that game, the story of the week would have been Ahmad Hardy from Missouri. He ran for 300 yards last week against an SEC opponent, Mississippi State. So their defense has been good. They just can't beat that top 25 team. Last week, another 3 takeaways from the defense. I think that Oklahoma, this is a tough setup after going to Tuscaloosa and shutting down the Alabama vaunted offense here. This is the team here. Missouri just can't beat the big team, but they might be able to do it here because I just think that there's finally some calm in the program. Eli Drinkwitz, no pressure anymore. Looks like he's going to stay here. They finally break through. They're always 5-0 every year. Finally, the pressure is off here. Wrong team's favorite. Missouri pulls the shocker 26-24 in Norman. Yep.
So can you imagine Oklahoma losing it? Because if you lose 3, you're out. You lose 3, you're out. They got 2. Wow. I know. Wow. For you to say that, you mean it as always. Bears -2.5 Steelers. Aaron Rodgers, left wrist fracture, not his throwing hand. And God, the Bears stink. I mean, the Bears aren't good until the 4th quarter. They're like Denver. You watch a Bears game for the first 3 quarters, like football follies. Balls getting thrown out of bounds. Caleb's running around in circles. But in the 4th quarter, just like Sean Payton, they're finding a way in Chicago with their new head coach to get it done, to close out games here. And the Steelers, the Steelers' schedule coming up the next 3 weeks is brutal. Rodgers has owned the Bears. Bears -2.5. How do you say it?
Yeah, this is a must game here. I'd take him if Duck Hodges is playing quarterback here. I think Chicago's that fraudulent. I think both cornerbacks can be had here. So I expect the Steelers receivers and even the tight ends to have big plays here over the middle. I think they're going to use the run at first, and then they're going to go downfield. Chicago, Williams, he's improved. But let's be honest. Throwing on the run, throwing 105-mile-an-hour fastballs, that's not going to get it done against this defense. Seems like every week Pittsburgh is good and then bad here. We're going to go with the zigzag. They show up. The defense shuts down Chicago here. Another wrong team favored. Pittsburgh straight up 26-20.
Like to pick. I agree with you on that. Then the Chiefs and the Colts, when the schedule came out, no one thought Daniel Jones would be playing at this level and have a better record than Kansas City. It feels like the Kansas City Chiefs playoffs start now. They're not going to catch Denver, might not catch the Chargers, so they got to find a way to get to the wild card. And the Colts should win the division, but they'll have a big lead in the wild card. Must-win game for Kansas City, favored by 3 against Danny Dimes.
and all Minnesota needed to do. He was on the roster, Danny Dine. Sign him for $10 million. They could have gotten him for $25 or $30 million for 2 years. So they messed up there. Colts benefit from it. They're 8-2 right now. This isn't a must-win game. They got a 2-game lead here in their division. On the other hand, Kansas City 5-5. Playoff starts today. They are out. But Indianapolis, let's see how they've done against good defenses. Number 2 defense in the Rams, lost on the road. Denver's number 3 defense. They eked out a 1-point win, a miracle win. And then against the Steelers, coughed it up 6 times here. The Chiefs have the number 4 scoring defense. And do you think that Patrick Mahomes, who is top 3 downfield targets, downtown Brown, Worthy, and also Rice, the longest reception last week was 11 yards? He's just like Josh Allen. Rarely bad games in a row. I think you lay it here if you want to play it. Kansas City, 31-23. They bounce back big over Indianapolis.
It feels right. It feels right with Kansas City. We're used to it every time this year, November, December, January, even into February. And the game of the week is tonight. Wow, Lee's manning the phones. He's there for our audience, Lee. You pick tonight's game. It's the Bills. We feel like they're playing well. Here's what I want to ask you. Usually this game's in the division. It's the Bills, New England. It's the Bills, Jets, right? It's something close. It's not a bus ride, but it's barely up and down. They're making the Bills go to Houston? Yes. And the Bills are playing every Sunday night, Monday night. The Thursday, you make them pack up the team flight and fly across the country. I don't understand that. Big spot for the Bills, I think, that are playing well in Houston. This time of year, the last couple of years, are on the way to the playoffs. How do we get your game of the week?
Yeah, usually when they have them traveling on a Thursday, it's down to Miami. They spend the long weekend. They're at the Elbow Room all weekend. They've never closed the place down. They're drinking 24 hours a day. But now they got to travel to H-Town. You want to find out if the Bills can stay on this roll? First 10 callers, 800-400-9741. They get the Bills and Texans tonight on me, 800-400-9741. How about this? 33-11-1 in the NFL, the last NFL 9 Sundays. You want to hop on board? Call Lee's NFL Sunday Golden Ticket. 5 selections, 4 straight weeks, $197. One place only, ParamountSports.com.
We got F1 out here. We got F1 coming, so we got a big weekend here in Vegas. I know you know that. Good luck. We'll talk to you next week. Thanks for everything, Lee. I appreciate you.
You too, buddy.
All right.
Thanks, buddy.
Lee Sterling, way to go. Good hour. And I just got a text from Wasted Talent. Wasted Talent's coming on, man. We put him on the radio, man, and he's just blowing up with our audience. We'll figure out what time he's going to get him on. Also, we have the Chip Kelly presser, which, in my rule, even though, in my third person, I think I'm great, but I check myself every day. You would rather hear from Pete Carroll and Chip Kelly than me. So when those guys speak and we're on the flagship radio station, I'm going to play it. If it's on during my show, I'm playing the coaches when they talk. So we got Chip Kelly presser. We have Wasted Talent coming up tomorrow. My exclusive interview with Pete Carroll. Also, our sit down with Lincoln Kennedy. We'd like to do that, and then we'll get you ready for the weekend. What a weekend it's going to be. Clay, you're at Chickies and Pete's tonight.
Yeah.
The Clay Baker special. You walk in. What I would do is just walk in. I'd order 2 pizzas. I'd order a 12-wing, and I'd order a couple of Modelo's, and I'd say, Clay Baker, and I'd get what?
At 20% off your entire order. Just tell them Clay sent you, and you get a nice little coupon. Includes booze and food, 20% off. Who remember Telly Savalas? Who loves you, baby? Clay Baker sent you Chickies and Pete's tonight over at the All New Sahara.
Sounds good to me. We booked Wasted Talent, 1:15 Pacific, 4:15 Eastern. He's going to join us. Look, he goes big. He'll tell you what he thinks. All the guests on the show, all the guests have to give real opinions. I give really big opinions and strong, but I'm sorry I don't want to fire the coach and have the coach take my paycheck from me in front of me and go, goodbye. Because I have to corral all of you, because some people are just nuts. We want the Raiders to win. Let's show some respect and beat Shedeur. More Shedeur talk coming up next on the flagship.
Plumbers, HVAC techs, contractors, and DIYers.
We will be right back. Go hydrate. Go hydrate, everybody. Go get yourself a snack. Go get yourself a snack.
For the pros. Join me for Baker this Thursday.
All right, I'm back in the chat.
If you want to use some PG stuff, he talked about Shedeur.
With your business at
Preparing for Shedeur.
building, agriculture, or auto, our team has the expertise to make sure your coverage meets your needs and at a price that fits your budget. Our award team keeps track of all the important regulatory issues that impact your business. We help with safety, compliance, and inspections because that's what you should expect from a trusted business partner. Find out how to have program management work for you.
Okay, you're good to go.
Receive a free cost savings analysis now. That's pgnmv.com or call our office.
Who we got with the NBA? Reporting the NBA today on Lakers firing minority owners Joey and Jesse Buss from front office positions.
Las Vegas. It's the JT.
Wow, that's pretty big news.
In the front office. Nice.
Excellence every day. And here's to see the bread.
All right, we're back. Hour number 2 of the show, Thursday. In about an hour and a half, I'll be sitting down with one of the greatest football players ever, Rod Woodson. I call it the Rod Pod. It's called Lay in the Wood. The podcast is available. We need you to subscribe. If you're listening to me and you love Rod Woodson, why would you not? If you want to get really in depth on football, listen to Rod Woodson. It's really good. And I just set up Rod, and Rod tells you about football. Lay in the Wood on YouTube or wherever you get your podcast, including Spotify. Breaking news, the Lakers fired Joey Buss and Jesse Buss from the front office. Oh, the Dodgers own the Lakers now, Clay. The Dodgers own the Lakers now. Here it is. The Lakers are reorganizing their basketball operations department and have fired executives Joey and Jesse Buss from their front office positions effective immediately, Shams is reporting. The Lakers also parted with much of their scouting department beyond the Buss brothers. Ooh, cleaning house. Joey and Jesse have had key Lakers scouting roles for the past decade, helping find players like Austin Reeves, Alex Caruso, Kyle Kuzma. Some good players here overall. Joey Buss' specific role was alternate governor. Remember, we're not allowed to say owner anymore in the NBA. We have to say governor, right? We can't say owner. They own the team. We have to say governor right now. But, man, they just whacked the Busses. So we're going to see what happens here. The older sister, Jeannie Buss, will continue to serve as the Lakers' primary team governor for the foreseeable future. Wow. Quote, Dr. Buss's idea was for Joey and I to run basketball one day, Jesse Buss told ESPN, but Jeannie has effectively kept herself in place with her siblings fired. Wow. Wonder what that Thanksgiving is going to be like around the Buss table with the brothers and the sisters here. Now, the siblings' father is the great Jerry Buss, who died in 2013. He purchased the Lakers from Jack Kent Cooke in 1979 in a $67.5 million transaction, which also included the LA Kings and the Forum. The Buss family sold majority ownership of the Lakers to Mark Walter in June. That sale at $10 billion. $10 billion. The Raiders might be worth $10 billion now. I mean, it's whatever, it's not for sale. But the Raiders are worth over $9 billion, going to be worth $15 billion a few years from now. These franchises continue to go up, up, and up. We have open phone lines we haven't used today, so if you'd like to use the phone, we're paying for it, 702-365-9200. Today we're looking for the game plan. The whole topic of today is Shedeur. How do the Raiders stop Shedeur? Pretty simple, right? No, I don't think it is simple. We've seen a lot of people are trolling the Raiders. Their own fans are trolling them by saying, have you seen our history against first-time quarterbacks? You remember Baker Mayfield? Yeah, I do. I was there. Do you remember when Andy Dalton came? Yep, I remember. Do you remember when the quarterback that was benched and the other one came in here? Yeah, I do. I was there for most of it. It hasn't been a good track record. It has not been a good track record, Clay, when there are other quarterbacks who have little expectations coming to Las Vegas to take on the Raiders.
And even when you'd have somebody like Jeff Saturday coaching a Colts team that had zero experience and about 4 days rest, just insane how that game went down. But it's just, it's almost like, of course, Shedeur is going to get his start on Sunday against the Raiders. It's almost unbearable. They have to break that streak, though.
They have to break the streak. And I found out today the last 17 times a new quarterback has started for Cleveland, a rookie, they have lost. 0 for 17. Let that sink in. The last 17 rookie starters who've started a game, they're 0 and 17. Can you believe if Shedeur breaks that? Oh, no. Oh, no, we can't let that happen. Tommy comes in on my chat and says, do you remember Jeff Saturday never coached and won at the Death Star? Yeah, I was there for that. And I can't tell you why that happened. Sometimes people think it's an advantage when you're able to start someone new, right? You start someone new and the other team. Don't you think there's truth to that, Clay, when they say we don't have any film on them?
Oh, yeah.
There's a lot of truth to that.
Yeah, you don't know. You don't have any tendencies to work off of, which would normally be like the details in the game, which would put you over. And Saturday was helping everybody just kind of alleviate, forget the past. Let's just dance like nobody's watching, and it worked.
I started with the Raiders in 1998. That was the first. I got hired the same day John Gruden got hired. I got the phone call. Same day. And that was Charles Woodson's rookie year. Okay. And I saw Andrew Luck come in for the first time. I saw Peyton Manning play there. I've seen great players play in Oakland. I saw Ben Roethlisberger play for the first time in Oakland. Man, we had his number. We had his number in Oakland. And, I've seen here in Vegas, Drew Brees, Lamar Jackson, Tom Brady, Josh Allen. So the quarterbacks that I saw in the COVID year, if you're new to the show, you haven't heard this story. If you have been, maybe you haven't heard it. The COVID year, if we go back to the COVID when you weren't allowed in and I was there with Eric Allen, Lincoln Kennedy, Brett Musburger, right? We were there. And that year I saw in the same season, Josh Allen, Tom Brady, Patrick Mahomes, Justin Herbert. The list was crazy. It was the greatest quarterbacks you've seen in one season come into Allegiant. You know, it was the best one out of all. Brady. Obviously, Brady was the best. But the guy I was most impressed with was Justin Herbert, because Herbert played a game like I've never seen before. I've seen Herbert play at Allegiant multiple times now, and it's just nuts. It's Elway. Now, I'm not saying he's Elway the rest of the year. He's lost games and that. But whenever I sit down and watch Justin Herbert, it's just beautiful to watch the ball, the way he throws the ball. I think Shedeur has got a little, I won't say Justin Herbert, but he's got a little bit of a big guy with a big arm, like a Roethlisberger type guy, that the ball could come out. I really do. So what I think is going to happen here is we're going to see a guy, if we don't get to him and Shedeur can set his feet and we give these receivers a lot of room, Shedeur is going to deliver the ball on time to someone who's open, because we, Raider Nation, allow receivers to get open because we don't play the Willie Brown bump and run because our guys aren't good enough to bump and run the whole game. So why are they on the team? Well, they're on the team because they do other things well. Caillou, Eric Stokes, Darian Porter played wide receiver in college. Now he's a corner. They all have size and things they do well. Some tackle better than others, but we're not good at the bump and run. Clay, I'm a big believer if you're going to get a cornerback at a college, say you draft a guy first, second, or third round, make sure that he covered people in college, like bump and run.
Yeah, played physical off the line.
If he played zone at Ohio State, I don't care. I want to know that he played bump and run and he put his hands on people and he guarded people. Our guys are not asked to guard. They're asked to give guys room, and then when they run by them, hope that there's a safety behind them. That's not going to work going forward. We have to have a new concept on how we defend with our cornerbacks going forward.
In college, that is developed. By the time you get to the pros, there's no time for that. You have to work on that on your own. And right now, just because you're fitting a concept, that doesn't necessarily mean you're the right guy at the right time.
Wasted talent in 5 minutes. If you want to get in, 702-365-9200. The phones feel like summertime today. But maybe I'm not the guy to call. Maybe Clay's nicer in the morning. Q's better. Whatever you think, I'm good with that. Maybe I'm just the guy you listen to. You listen to and go, I don't even want to talk to that guy. He's out of it. He's so intense right now. I don't even want to call him. And that's good. I'm great at that too. I'm good at that too. Shedeur has the arm. He has a big arm. He can run. He's big. I can promise you one thing. I can promise you this. If it's 3rd and 9 and Shedeur runs, I can promise you he's not going to slide 4 yards early. Wink, wink. I can promise you. If it's 3rd and 9 or 3rd and 8 and Shedeur takes off and he sees the chains, he will dive to the chains. He will not slide because he wants to keep his job. We had a quarterback do that in Allegiant Stadium a few weeks ago. His name was Trevor Lawrence. He beat us by 1. He didn't throw a touchdown in the entire game. He ran for 2. So I don't think he played well, but he ran for 2 and won the game running as a quarterback. So I think Shedeur will take some sacks in this game. He will take some sacks because he'll just run around and try to extend the play. But in my mind, man, I just hope that Gino is not outplayed. Now, you might say, well, Gino doesn't play Shedeur. No, he does. At the end of the game, I get the stats. Gino needs to play better than Shedeur. I can promise you that. The press conference will not be pretty if Shedeur wins that game and has 100 more yards passing than Gino. And I don't believe that'll happen. I believe that Gino will play at a better level. Remember, when he beat Tennessee, I don't think he played great against Tennessee, but he won the game. He won the game. So can he win the game and not play badly? Yeah. Yeah, if you want to do that. But my other thing is, aren't we waiting? Aren't we waiting to see something great from Gino? Where's the Gino 360 yards, 4 touchdowns, 1 interception, 30 yards rushing? I've been waiting for that game. I think he's capable of doing it. We'll see what happens. Hey, F1 is here, and I just want to tell you about our partner at Click Hospitality. They got a lot going on. Gatsby's is going to be going off with their happy hour. Amazing cocktails with their 16-year-old Aston Martin F1 single malt. Wow. I mean, that's going to be unbelievable at Gatsby's. Tomorrow night is all about DJs and champagne, Moet and Diamonds giving away a custom F1 bottle of Moet Chardonnay. That's going to be something. And then 8 has F1 viewing all weekend. Tonight, Havana, After Dark, live Cuban band and great cocktails from 8 to 1 a.m. Also Mondays at Gatsby's, $5 martinis from 4 to 9 p.m. That's the best deal in Vegas. Those are our friends at Click Hospitality, great partner of our show here. Man, there's a lot going on in the city, and I just wanted to tell you about a few of our partnerships today and tomorrow because a lot of people are looking to watch F1. It could be confusing how to get to the strip, how to get to the other side of the strip, how to do that. So just make sure you pick your spot, get there early. I mean, I'm going to the UNLV game on Friday, and I'm going to F1. How am I even thinking about doing that? I don't even know, but I'm doing it. I'm just going to fight the fight to try to go out there and do that. So that's what's happening, what's going on. And if you are going to F1, give us a call too. If you are going to F1 and you're excited about this major sporting event, we'd like to hear from you because it's a big part of our city here. And if you don't like it, if you're not into it, you can tell us. We're not sitting here kissing the ass of F1. I already tweeted out they need to change the date. They do. They need to move it to a little bit of warmer weather and kick out a country somewhere around the world that has a better date. But again, we have F1 like we have the rodeo here at the end of the year because historically that would be slow and we want to fill up our hotel rooms and have big events. Wasted Talent joins us as he does now weekly here on Thursdays. ahead of the game. So I know you've done a number of live streams and podcasts since the Monday night loss where Pickens and CD were out getting after it. They got benched early. Raiders went up 6-3 at the end of the first quarter. What happened after that where they gave up all those points and lost?
JT, when you turn the football over, you knock the juice out of the defense. Gino throwing that bad pick, I think kind of sucked the air out of the defense, if I'm being honest. And, we're having problems up front all game. They moved Will Putnam at center. He gave up 3 sacks. Then, Jordan Meredith moving back to guard. And I know that was an attempt of them trying to put the best 5 guys out there. But, I just think that going up against that Dallas front that is rejuvenated with a guy like Quentin Williams really, really was a tough matchup for a group of guys that have never played together before.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think when the defense stays on the field, supposedly good things should happen. That's an extra max sack. That's an extra opportunity for an interception. Something could happen. A ball comes out, a fumble, and you turn it over. But it just seems like it's a matter of time when other teams get the ball, they start picking apart the corners, and they try to find a soft part of the zone. And that's been a problem, as you've been talking about with me all year, is the soft zone as guys are getting let go to other parts of the field, and then we're just getting there a little bit too late.
Yeah, that's 100%. I mean, I think there might be a little bit of a philosophy difference in between what Patrick Graham has been trying to run and Pete being the defensive mastermind and him having his idea of, what style of defense we're playing in the secondary. I think there's a little bit of a delineation between both of their schemes. And I kind of would hope going forward that they would kind of lean towards one ideology, because it just seems like, you got Porter out there one week. He does pretty well. He gets 100% of the snaps. And then week after week, his snaps count goes down. They start Caillou Blue Kelly. He has a good game. Then, you will probably look to see his snap count go down as well. So, I think it's more so consistency too in the secondary because they've been trying different things. And look, when you have a season like this is not a season that anyone can, in the beginning of the season, thought the team would look like. Nobody thought that we would be 2-8 right now. And I know Pete Carroll's just trying to win. He's just trying to do his best to try to pretty much, move things around and make this situation turn around. And I understand, but I think at this point of the season, it's more so about, development and trying to get some consistency with that defensive secondary.
Yeah, I agree with everything you're saying. Wasted talent joins us. So what's your fair assessment? Because you're fair, but you're very critical, like you're supposed to be, of Gino Smith coming into this game. If he doesn't play well in this game, Aiden was activated. Do you give Gino the entire game no matter what? Or are you watching Gino by halftime saying he's got to get this thing going?
I'm watching Gino by halftime saying that he's got to get it going because just because you sit him down and kind of, settle him does not mean you have to bench him for the rest of the season. Sometimes guys are having bad games and to stop the bleeding, you might want to just sit him down. You might want to sit him down, get him a breath of fresh air, let him see, what's going on the field, get somebody else out there to kind of calm things down and right the ship. And then you can go into the next week and kind of have a competition for who's going to start the next week.
So you still think the competition, because a lot of people believe, and I believe from talking to the head coach, that this is his quarterback, and he's going to give this quarterback the opportunity to play pretty much every week because he believes in him, and he believes he's going to play better. And as you listen to the press conferences, and I talk to him, he believes there's something good coming out of Gino, even when Gino's not playing great and the team is losing. And that's where the loyalty factor is on hoping Gino can get to that point and have an explosive game. I just don't know if you can be explosive against Cleveland. They got a really good secondary. They got Myles Garrett. They got the defensive rookie of the year on this team. It's going to be tough for Gino to come out and just be super explosive, in my opinion. So do you think he'll manage the game, or they'll let it loose and he could have a big one?
I think the only thing you can do is try to manage the game against Myles Garrett and Carson Schlesinger and all those guys. That defensive front, and it's funny because, the Cleveland Browns are almost like a photo negative of us when you start talking about the defensive perspective and numbers and all these different things. But the numbers and the amount of talent that Cleveland has on that defense do not match up. And I think a lot of what's going on with Cleveland is the defense is on the field too much as well. And they're tired. And the numbers don't look great, but they have a lot of talent. You have a situation where you have Myles Garrett on a historic pace. 10 games in, the man has 15 sacks. He's past Lawrence Taylor, in that respect. And he's looking like he's probably about to break the sack record set a few years ago by TJ Watt. So, I would try to manage the game right off the bat. I would try to get out there, try to get an extra down lineman, try to run some runs towards the sideline instead of running up the middle. 3 yards in a cloud of dust is not going to work against this defense. I'd run some screens to try to keep them off balance, a lot of quick pass plays to try to keep Gino clean. But I think the best thing to do is to try to manage the game and manage the turnovers, because turnovers are a killer for a defense that really doesn't have a lot of depth. And when you have guys that play at such a high energy level like Max Crosby, he needs to be able to go to the sideline and get that breather. He needs to have that offense be out there for 3-4 minutes to let them come out there and be recharged and kind of try to defend the Raiders. I just JT, we as a fan base have been pretty fair. I think we are one of the most loyal fan bases that there is, the most loyal fan base. And I think that, myself, and I can only speak for me, I've been super, super patient with this Gino Smith experiment, right? And I've been very patient with what Pete Carroll's trying to do. I just think at this point, if you're going to preach, competition, it has to be from the top all the way down. Because if you're not holding him accountable as you're holding everyone else, then, it kind of rings a little hollow. And I would like to see for Gino, you don't have to bench him for the whole season, but just for him to be held accountable if he starts to turn the football over.
Yes, I'm going to push back on that. Wasted Talent joins us because I agree. I've called on this show for Gino to be benched during games when he's not playing well, but put him back in because they paid him a lot of money and he's the starter. I think a quarterback has more of a leash than a backup right guard. So if the guard isn't playing well and you want to move the guard and you want to move Kappa and you want to move Meredith, that's one thing. Quarterback's quarterback. Quarterback's different than a backup safety getting ability to, he has an interception, so he should start over the safety. Okay. Quarterback's got to have a little bit more of a leash because he's a franchise quarterback. Gino Smith is a franchise quarterback, like it or not. But I would agree with you, if he doesn't play like that, then he leaves the coach no chance. The coach got to move on from him if he doesn't play well. And that's why I think I've been fair to Gino, but very critical. And I'm just waiting for Gino to have that game where he can quiet some of his critics, let alone the critics wasted in the Raider Nation. I mean, he's got fans that are supposed to be supporting him and encouraging him to play better. And now I see some fans, not all of them, checked out, thinking he's not capable to have a game like that. I think he's capable to have a game like that, but it better be against Cleveland.
Yeah, and I agree in some respects, but the difference between this particular situation with Gino Smith, right? We have a guy that is behind him that just got activated in Aiden O'Connell that we know can start and win games in this league. And we also have another backup that we know can start and win games in this league. So it's not a situation to where we don't have capable guys who have had some starting experience. We're not, calling for some UDFA to come in at quarterback. Like Aiden O'Connell, in some of the darkest times for the Raiders has come in and won games that we have not expected him to. And I think that, just from credibility standpoint, right? Like if you're going to preach competition, this is my personal opinion. This is not on you, but this is on me. I feel like you definitely have to show everybody that no one is above reproach on the team.
Yeah, and again, this is a good pushback. This is the conversation we like to have. When you're Pete Carroll and you coached Gino for years and you won games for years with Gino, you're going to be a little bit more loyal to him. But I understand what you're saying. If everything's about competition, well, Aiden wasn't there to compete. Aiden was out. And there's no doubt that Gino is clearly better than Kenny Pickett, obviously. But maybe Kenny Pickett deserved to play a little bit more. I don't know. I just think that I understand the loyalty to Pete. And you know what's interesting? Wasted Talent joins us that Raider fans are some of the most loyal people I've ever met. You know me a little bit. I'm a pretty loyal guy. Can you believe Pete's getting heat for being loyal to his guy? This is his guy. It's like being loyal to your guy. You're going to be loyal to your guy more than another guy. But when you say competition, I just think that the competition for Gino shouldn't be scrutinized as much as the competition for Caillou Blue Kelly or Darian Porter. They're not Gino Smith. They're not making $60 million where you sit them down and everyone's like, okay, take a practice squad corner and put him in there. With Gino, once you pull that trigger and sit him, then it gets real rough sailing here. And I think we're on the precipice of making that decision if Gino doesn't play well against Cleveland. And I think Cleveland's a tougher matchup, as you're talking about.
Yeah, no, they are. They're just the toughest defense they're going to face all year. Chip Kelly alluded to that today in the presser. And, for me, and, I understand, how a quarterback has more leash. But at this point in the season, more than half of the season is done. Gino's leading the league in interceptions. I think that for the Raiders to continue to keep doing the same thing and expect to get a different result, is rough. You have to try something different. If we don't go out there and have a good showing against Cleveland and win, then that means we're at the bottom of the league.
Yep.
Because Cleveland is not a good football team either. And, the thing for me is that I don't want to be the worst at anything I do at all. I always want to win. I want to win every single game. And this is not, a lot of people talk about, the draft and draft position in the next year. I'm more so concerned about the young guys on this roster, making sure those guys develop so we know what we have going into next year. And I'm concerned about trying to establish a winning culture, because you don't establish a winning culture by losing. You don't. So for me, I need to see top bottom. I need to see at this point in the season everybody held accountable. That's just, and and you might not agree, but that's how I see it. I feel like everybody at this point, when it's this bad, everybody has to be held accountable, and no stone needs to be left unturned to try to win.
Wrapping it up with Wasted Talent. All right, how big is this Shedeur story in your world? I think it's big. I like the kid. And I said earlier in the show, I didn't think the Raiders were ever going to draft him, even though there was a Brady connection, because they had Gino and Aiden. If they had Gino and no Aiden, then 100% draft him in the 4th, 5th round. But Aiden was on a rookie-protected contract as a 4th-round pick. We didn't need another 3rd or 4th-round pick. So that's my way of saying that, okay, I would have liked to have had Shedeur here, especially when he got into the 4th or 5th round. But there were 10 to 12 or 15 teams ahead of the Raiders who had a better need for Shedeur as a starter and or a backup. But I like the kid. I think he got trashed in the draft. I think he was embarrassed. His dad was embarrassed. I think he deserved to be a 2nd-round pick or a 3rd-round pick at the least. Where did you have him valued? Where did you think he should have ended up? And how big is this story at Allegiant Stadium Sunday?
I think it's a huge story. And I had Shedeur valued in the 1st round. And I love Shador Sanders. And I wanted the Raiders to take him. I didn't necessarily want us to take him in the 1st round, but the way things went, I would have been happy would have took him in the 2nd, moved back into the 1st for him, because I feel like he has, a lot of physical ability, but there's something about Shedeur. He has that it factor for a quarterback. He's a guy that you could see galvanize his teammates. He loves his teammates. He works very, very hard. He looks very accurate. He's tough. He moves well in the pocket. And I think that, I would have liked to see the Raiders taking him, even with Aiden O'Connell on the roster. I just feel like, for you to move forward as an organization, and for a lot of organizations in this league that have turned things around, drafting quarterbacks every few years is essential, because quarterback's the most important position in professional sports at this point. And for me, having a kid like that, to have that kind of currency of hope is a good thing. I think part and parcel of the reason why the Raiders didn't draft him is because of all of the things that comes with Shedeur Sanders, right? Like, we would have had Shedeur Sanders on the roster with Gino playing the way he's been playing this year. those roars from Raider Nation would have been deafening, and they would have probably had to start him at some point or something like that. I just think that some of the baggage that comes along with a guy that you're not willing to commit to as the guy, people aren't willing to sign up for that. In a lot of towns, being from the New York area,
Yep.
and me too, the backup quarterback in a lot of towns is always everybody's most popular player until he actually plays, right? Having a guy like Shedeur, you see what's happening in Cleveland. People have been calling for this guy all season. Now this is going to be the biggest story in the National Football League this week, and he's going to have his coming out party against a Raider team that, if I'm being honest, we roll the red carpet out for backup quarterbacks. Going back to Tyler Bagent and all these guys. So I'm hoping that the Raiders can get a win. And for Shedeur, I really, really love the way he's handled all of this, and I'm praying for the best for the kid, but just not this week against the Raiders.
Yeah, I said that's why we have you on. You're so good. I say the same thing. I want this kid to be great, but not against the Raiders. I'm rooting for the kid. I think he's everything that could be right about the league. I like his size. I like his strength. And he should be developed. He should be developed. If you go to the Fountain Blue, there's the Hall of Excellence. They have Tom Brady's draft card. It was the 6th round. No one wanted Brady, even the Patriots. The Patriots didn't want Brady. If they did, they would have took him in the 5th round, or they would have traded up in the 6th round to get him. So they didn't even want Brady. Brady's the greatest of all time. I'm not saying Shedeur will be Brady or anywhere close, but so many teams passed on Shedeur when he was an easy pick for every organization in the 4th or 5th round. Some teams have better excuses than others. Last one, what do the Raiders need to do to win this game? Give me the game plan on how the Raiders walk out of the building at home and win the game Sunday.
1, minimize turnovers. 2, try to throw the ball to Ashton Genty. If you can't get him, out of the backfield running the football, try to, take what the defense gives you. Check down, throw it to him in the flat. And also the Cleveland Browns are pretty bad. They're one of the worst teams in the league against wide receivers. Try to get Trey Tucker and Jack Besh in space, attack the middle of that football field. It's going to be a tall order to try to get enough time to throw the football. And I would like to see Gino Smith, get out of the pocket a little bit and use his legs. He can move. I know he's getting a little older, but I would love to see him use his legs and purposefully use his legs. Some rollouts and things of that nature, because, the Raiders are, and I understand what they're trying to do. They're trying to mitigate the fact that they have huge losses up front. And that's one of the things that a lot of people, we forget. We lost Colt Miller. Colt Miller is one of the best left tackles in football. Like, when you lose a guy like that, you're always going to have an issue up front. And then you lose your second best lineman on top of that. And then now you have a situation where Dylan Parham has been nicked up. Your best 3 linemen have had issues all season. So to mitigate that, I want to see them, get Gino out there in space with some more of that RPO stuff. Let him get out there, throw towards, the middle of the field, and use some. And I know a lot of people don't like this, but for me, I think we got some talented young guys like Trey Tucker, man. Get some gadget plays going. You know what I mean? Some trick plays. I mean, if you look at what happened in Cleveland last week, where they lost against Baltimore, Baltimore essentially won that game on a Todd Monken, sweep to a tight end. That was a game that was knotted up, and they won. It was a 16-16 game, and they won on a gadget play. So, I think these are the kind of things the Raiders are going to have to do to get the defense hyped up, get the offense hyped up, keep the momentum going and put points on the board, because it's rough trying to generate points when you have an issue up front. And we all know that that's the most important, the important part of a football team is, protection up front. But also, I would like to see, and I said this last week, and I'll say it again, I would like to see the Raiders purposefully commit to the run, even if it hurts. Because I think balance is the most, it's really the most important way for you to keep a football team and an offense rolling. Balance, and also just mitigate turnovers.
Tell everyone how they can subscribe to your channel.
Just go on YouTube. It costs you nothing. Raider Nation Unlimited, featuring wasted talent on YouTube. JT, it's a pleasure as always. Thank you.
Gotcha. See you next week. Wasted talent. Very good. He's on the show because he adds to the show. He's very good. Very good. He's got great opinions. A lot of them I agree with. and going back and forth on Gino and the loyalty factor to Gino compared to other players, I think that's a fair conversation. We're going to play a little bit of Chip Kelly's presser from earlier today to hear what the offensive coordinator had to say. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, thank you, thank you. We will talk to you tomorrow. Quick home monologue Friday, Modelo. So quick Friday from home, maybe the first 40 minutes to an hour tomorrow, and then get you out of here for the week. Thanksgiving, couple of shows, some time off. Thanks to all the bricklayers out there. You're the best of the best. Please hit the like button. Please subscribe for free. Tell everybody about the channel.